Hello everyone and welcome to this video. I'm Dr. Ikra Jain Sethi on behalf of Sriram's IAS, and here in these 30-minute videos again we have come up with another concept from sociology for sociology optional, and we'll deal with it in brief. So at Sriram's, our aim is to provide you with all the guidance that is possible through our classes, and the link to the classes, to the course, to the scheduling of the classes will be shared in the comment section below. Please do go and check these out, and there are great offers because we do believe that your time, your energy, your money, all of this is important in these preparations. So let's do make the most out of it. So as of now in these YouTube videos, you must have seen people who have seen the previous videos or who are new. For their information, what we do is we take up different topics which are there in the course for UPSC optional, and we deal with them, and I try to give you a brief about the topic. So because these are shorter videos, the topic has been dealt with is done in a brief manner, and the detailed thing, the actual the questions, the PDFs, the notes, all of those are going to happen in the classes itself. So again, I'm Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi. I'm your sociology educator on behalf of Sriram's IAS, and let's begin with it. So today I'll just open the PDF that I need to. Yes, I think now you can see on your screens. This is Emile Durkheim. Uh, now, Emile Durkheim, as we know, is a very prominent sociologist, a very important sociological thinker. So, those who have attended the previous classes or those who have heard me before would know that I've always emphasized the fact that sociological thinkers is going to remain really important for you. राइट जो आपका पेपर है, जो आपका ऑप्शनल पेपर 1 है, पार्ट 1 फॉर सोशोलॉजी, बल्क ऑफ योर पेपर डज कम फ्रॉम थिंकर्स. It's either directly, either indirectly. So you can have a direct question like explain Marxian contribution to sociology. बहुत clear cut question है, you know that you have to write about Karl Marx and you have to write his contributions. There can also be a question of, say, discuss religion, something in general about religion in context of theory or whatever. So in this you need to understand that how you are going to use, say, Durkheim's ideas of religion, Weber's ideas of religion, even Marx's idea of religion. Okay, how are you going to put those things together? Okay, so in that way your sociological thinkers become really important. Also आगे आगे आपके जो यूनिट्स आने वाले हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन सोशल स्ट्रैटिफिकेशन, देयर अगेन दीज थिंकर्स का यू विल सी देयर इन्फ्लुएंस, विल सी थोड़ा बहुत ओवरलैप. So especially like in terms of Marx, in terms of Weber, you will see their overlap even in stratification theories. So Emile Durkheim, now coming to Durkheim, so we've talked a little about Karl Marx in the earlier videos, and we have seen how different concepts were given by Karl Marx, and they are valid and they're relevant till today, like after ages, and still we are studying these thinkers. So there definitely is something about them which is like really which is like worth studying, right? So having said that, now we'll begin with Durkheim. And Durkheim ka, the exclusive thing, the important thing about Durkheim is that when you're doing thinkers and when you're doing Karl Marx, I don't know if you remember, but I have mentioned that Karl Marx, you do not put Karl Marx in a category of a sociologist, right? Karl Marx never said that I'm a sociologist or I'm working for the discipline of sociology or something. Same goes for Weber. So even though Weber's theories are all sociological, Weber never proclaimed himself to be a sociologist, right? So first and foremost, when you're talking about Durkheim, it's very interesting because Durkheim was one thinker who said that yes, he was a pure sociologist, right? First and foremost, that's important, that one thinker you have now who's calling himself to be a pure sociologist, he's working for the discipline, and it is through his efforts, in fact, that you see that the first department of sociology being set up in Europe. So first department of sociology got set up during Durkheim's time. First journal of sociology, and sociologique. first journal of sociology got set up by Durkheim. He became a professor of sociology. So there were a lot of firsts associated with Durkheim and with in context of sociology. So, given this scenario, given this atmosphere, it's important to know that Durkheim always wanted to uh, establish again sociology in close association with science. Right? Remember, when we are doing emergence of sociology, we know that sociology emerged at a time when modernization, when the trend was to be scientific, and it was amidst that atmosphere that sociology emerged. And that's why we know that the founding fathers of sociology, one second. Yes. So that is why we know that the founding fathers of sociology, for be it Auguste Comte, be it during that time Simon, Spencer, all of them wanted to establish sociology in close affinity to science, right? That was the idea. Now, Durkheim also comes from that stream of thought. However, Durkheim's ideas of sociology are much more concrete, much more organized in comparison to to these other people. Even Durkheim is an early thinker, yet the ideas are much more organized. And in fact, when we are talking about first, it doesn't hurt us to mention that Durkheim also was one of the first sociologists to use statistical techniques in sociological work. So, in his prominent work of suicide, he's using statistical techniques for the first time in sociology. Okay, and even till today, this work remains like a really important work. If you have to study about positivism, if you have to study about how do you make use of quantitative techniques of data, of using statistics in sociology, suicide remains a seminal work. It remains a very good example even till today. There are criticisms of suicide, of course. We'll do it once we come to that aspect. However, you can't take away from the fact that it still remains a very important work. Now, to begin with, Durkheim, as I told you, that Durkheim also is coming from a similar stream of thought, so he would also want to build a connection between sociology and science, right? Even Durkheim would want that yes, sociology should be something like a science. Now, I told you that Durkheim, कहाँ पे difference आ रहा है Durkheim और early thinkers में, is that he's more organized. He's more organized. He's giving you these statements with clarity. So Durkheim is saying that sociology should be like science. So he's not saying it and leaving it. He's also giving us certain factors. He's telling us that on what grounds can a discipline be scientific, right? So for sociology to be scientific, Durkheim is telling us what should sociology be like. Okay, so let's see. For sociology to be scientific, so let's see. He would first say, let's see. He's first going to say for sociology to be scientific, first and foremost, there has to be a specific subject matter, right? So science does not deal with like everything under the sun. You have to define the subject matter of science. So that is how it becomes scientific. Similarly, even sociology, you can't say that sociology is study of everything. That is common sense, right? That's where the difference comes between sociology and common sense. So he says that the specific subject matter, defining specific subject matter. So that becomes important as far as sociology is concerned. Then, of course, you also have to define the field that you are exploring. Define the field to explore, right? If it has to be scientific, so you will be defining the field to explore. Then you have to emphasize where is your emphasis? Are you going to study individual cases? Like you are going to take each and every case and study that? According to Durkheim, that's not possible. You can't generalize, you can't build theories if you're doing something like this. So in that case, he's saying that you have to emphasize on types, and not individual cases. Right, your emphasis has to be on types and not individual cases. Then as I was just telling you, that it has to be formulated on the basis of general laws, on the basis of general theories, right? So formulation of general laws or theory, that is important. That gives it a scientific shade. And then of course scientific method has to be applied to achieve objectivity. So if you're achieving objectivity, then yes, this field can be scientific. So now let's take a look at it. What all does it say? Yeah. So you have, first and foremost, you have to define a specific subject matter, right? Then you have to define a field. Then you have to emphasize on types, not individual cases. And that's where the difference between, say, Durkheim and Weber would come in, right? Positivism and non-positivism, and we'll see that. And you have to build up general laws and theories. So he was in favor of building general laws and theories. He said that that is how sociology can actually be a science. And yes, you have to aim for objectivity. If you're doing all these things, then in that case, your subject matter, your discipline of sociology can be understood as a science. That's what he's saying. Then when we move on, you will see that we'll talk about his works. Now he has given several profound works to sociology, right? So we know about his works in terms of rules of sociology, sociological method. We know about his work in terms of elementary forms of religious life. We know about suicide, as I was just telling you. So many of his prominent works are there in case of sociology. And we'll do his very important work, which gives us the methodology of Durkheim, and that is basically rules of sociological method. It was his book in 1895. Now another thing I always tell my students is that you should try and remember these names, right? Rules of sociological method. Try and remember the name of their works, the year, if not all, at least the important ones. So at least in case of these thinkers, you should know these important works and you should know their years. And if you write these in your answers, it just adds up a point, right? So try and remember, work on them, not all, but at least a few you can, right? So Rules of Sociological Method, 1895. That's a very prominent work of Durkheim, and it is here that Durkheim is actually giving us a methodology that he says that this is a methodology that you can apply to sociology. So remember, Durkheim is coming from positivist tradition. He's coming from a positivist tradition. What is positivist tradition? So positivist tradition basically is because sociology emerged along with its affinity with science. So positivism believes sociology to be science, to be a kind of science, right? So they believe in quantitative data, they believe in empiricism. Empiricism is like the cornerstone of positivism. They believe in general laws and theories, they believe in predictability, they believe in testability. So all of these constitute part of positivism. Durkheim is coming from this kind of a tradition, okay? He's coming from positivist tradition. So he would try and give you a methodology, and he gives us a methodology, and it's an important one. And there have been several sociological works, of course Durkheim's own work and other people also who have been influenced by him. And let's see what is his methodology of social facts. Okay, methodology of social facts is what Durkheim is going to talk to us about in Rules of Sociological Method. So he says that whatever exists in sociology, you can understand that in terms of social facts. Basically, social fact is the subject matter of sociology, right? Social fact will be the subject matter of sociology. You will understand everything through social facts. Now, how do you see social facts? how do you understand social facts, right? So for him, when you'll see his later work, so if you when you'll see his elementary forms of religious life or suicide, he's seeing religion as a social fact. He'll see division of labor as a social fact. He will see suicide as a social fact. So he will talk about all of these in terms of social facts. So division of labor is again a very important work, and again he's seeing division of labor as a social fact. So very first thing we will begin with is we'll begin with the idea of social fact, and then we will take up these social facts individually. Now, if you're talking about say social facts, first and foremost, social fact. What is a social fact? That is important. So there's one very simple definition of social fact, which again all of you must know. So it is basically social facts are ways of acting, thinking, and feeling which are external to the individual and are endowed with the power of coercion, by reason of which they control of him. Now it's an important definition, and now we'll break it up and see. Very easy it is. Now, what are social facts? Firstly, so when he'll start after the definition, he'll start giving you the rules of social fact, and there we will see the very first rule is that you have to see social fact as things, the observation of social fact. So social fact, in that way they become your ways of acting, thinking, feeling. This is important, right? What is social fact? You will be acting through social facts, on the basis of social facts. Your thoughts, your thinking, your feeling, everything is going to happen through social facts, through the ways of social facts. Social fact is going to direct everything. You are going to do everything according to the social facts, right? So they are ways of acting, thinking, and feeling, first and foremost. Okay, then they lie external to the individual. So they are not within us. He's not talking about the internal. Again, when we'll talk about Weber, we will see that how Weber emphasizes on internal. So when Weber will talk about social action, for example, he will say social action is about the meanings that actors attach and blah blah blah. So that is about the internal aspect. That is about the meaning. That is about the feelings. Okay, Durkheim is saying that no, social facts are ways of acting, thinking, feeling. First and foremost, they are external to the individual, and they are endowed with the power of coercion. There is a coercive power which these social facts have on us. Okay, so they are endowed with the power of coercion by reason of which they control of him. That's why social facts can control us. For example, if you're talking about religion, now religion is a social fact. Okay, it is according to religion that lot of our ways of acting, what we do, like in the morning when you get up, somebody goes to the temple, somebody is praying in the church, somebody is doing something else. So these are your way, your entire schedules, your life, your acting, your thinking, your feeling, all of this is being guided by religion, right? For example, wearing of sindoor will be part of religion, a symbolic of religion. So they are external, but religion is not something internal. So it can be seen in external form. So it can be seen in the form of masjids, or in the form of gurudwaras, in the form of temples. There you can see religion existing externally. It exists outside of us, and it holds a coercive power on us, right? There is a coercive power. You will not want to go against religion, right? You are doing in accordance with it. So there is a coercive power through which religion controls us. Same goes for family. Now, family, according to Durkheim, will be a social fact. Okay, so family, our own families, our respective families, they direct our ways of acting, thinking, feeling. Right? We do things in life. We are generally around our family members. They help us to decide, to act, to think in difficult situations in our daily lives. Whatever you wear, whatever you eat, that is somewhere being directed by the family. Now again, it lies external to us. Okay, it is not something internal. Family is existent, like there's a concrete form, right? So it is external. And yes, family holds a coercive power on you, right? You will not want to go against your family, your decisions, everything is somewhere being directed by the family, right? So in that sense, even family becomes a social fact. So that is how Durkheim basically he defines social facts. Then next we will come to very quickly the characteristics of social facts. So Durkheim will also give us certain characteristics of social fact. Okay, so he'll tell us that there are certain ways in which you can understand and you can see social facts, and that is what Durkheim will give us now. Okay, that what are the basic ways of understanding and of seeing social facts. Now, first and foremost, so these are basically the characteristics. Okay, so first and foremost, it's already in this definition, externality. Externality. Second, there will be generality. Right? Third, they are independent. And fourth, they have a constraining power. So a few of these you can understand from the definition itself, right? That yes, they are external, right? They are general. So it is not like religion would exist only for me. Religion is existing for everyone as a social fact. Family is existing for everyone as a social fact. There are exceptions, of course. Somebody could be an atheist, right? Somebody would not believe in the concept of family. Those are exceptions. However, generality is there is an element of generality, right? It is something general. It is independent, right? So religion is independent, exists independently as a social fact. You cannot go and do something to religion, right? You can there it will exist even if one person is not believing in it, even if one person is not believing in the concept of families will exist, so they are independent, right? Then they have a constraining power, so they exercise coercion, they have a constraining power. So these four somewhere become the main characteristics, the main tenets of social fact. So whenever if there is a question on social fact, first and foremost it has to be clear in your heads. You have to write about first thing, you will give the definition of social fact, then you are coming to the characteristics of social fact, then you will come to the rules for social fact. If it's a question especially from rules of sociological method, if it tells you about explain social facts in detail, that means it is asking you to explain about the different rules associated with social facts, which you should. Now first and foremost, another thing about Durkheim is that in all his concepts after social facts and all the social facts that he will give you, for example, be it DOL, division of labor, be it suicide, be it religion, so he's talking about all of them in generality, right? At the same time, the good thing, the interesting thing about Durkheim is that he says that there is also another aspect of these, and that is abnormality. Okay, so Durkheim is one thinker who's going to talk about abnormalities. Okay, that is situations of say anormy. Abnormality is something which is pathological, something which is different from normal. This is basically different from normal. So whenever Durkheim is taking any of his social facts into consideration, he's going to talk about the social fact as it is. At the same time, Durkheim is also going to talk about the pathology of the social fact. So for example, he's talking about suicide, but he'll also talk about the pathological rate of suicide. Okay, so he'll say that okay, if some rate of suicide is normal in every society, however, if this rate of suicide is extremely high or extremely low, that means society is undergoing, there's some element of pathology in this society according to Durkheim. Okay, so that is one thing that he will talk about. He'll also give you the pathological aspect in terms of all social facts. Okay, now next we come to the rules. Okay, now we come to the rules of social fact. Now first and foremost, So first and foremost about the rules for observation. Okay, and this I've already told you. This I've already told you, that how do you observe social facts, how do you see social facts? You observe social facts as things, right? You have to understand that social facts as things. Social facts are sui generis. Okay, he will say social facts are sui generis. So that is, they are unique. In Latin, sui generis means unique. So he'll say that social facts are sui generis. They are unique. You can't you have to see them as things. They exist outside of us. You can see them. You can observe them as things. How do you observe something like religion as a thing? For example, I already told you in terms of their physical manifestation. So for example, in terms of a lady wearing a burqa, you will associate this burqa as the thing of burqa in terms of Islam. A lady wearing a sindoor, so you will associate this physical manifestation of sindoor in terms of Hindu culture, right? So in terms of Hindu religion. So you see these in terms of these are collective representations. So when social fact is seen in terms of a physicality, in terms of collective representation, that in that way you can understand social facts as things. Okay. Next we come to the rules for social rules of classification. Now we come to rules of classification. So this was the rule for observation, and now we come to rules for classification. How do you classify social facts, right? So in this way, in here you have institutional and you have non-institutional. Right, institutional and non-institutional. Now institutional basically are social facts which are accepted by the society, right? So something like nuclear family, joint family, arranged marriage is an institutional fact, right? Arranged marriage is an institutional fact. For a very long time, love marriages remained a non-institutional fact, right? It was not considered, it was not institutionalized, it was not legitimized. However, over time, non-institutional fact became an institutional fact. So that is also possible. Over time, there is a shift from institutional to non-institutional, or non-institutional to institutional. So something that stands legitimized today, 15 years, 20 years down the line, that might not exist. Okay, that might not remain institutional anymore. For example, something like a sati practice, right? It was institutional at one point of time in society, now it is not. Okay. Now for example, in terms of same-sex marriages, it was non-institutional in certain societies till a certain period of time. Over a period of time, in some societies it has become institutional, right? So there is this shift which can happen between institutional and non-institutional facts. However, this is about the classification. So you have your rules for observation, you have your rules for classification of social facts. Third, we come to the rule which I've already explained you, rules of distinction. Rules of distinction, and here you are going to see normal and pathological. So this is basically Durkheim says that social facts can be distinguished in two ways. Okay, so there are normal social facts and there are pathological social facts. So for example, crime is a normal social fact. He will say that crime is normal. If crime exists in society, through this the machinery will work, people will also have their normative standards high, so crime remains a normal social fact. However, if this rate of crime is something which is strange, like something extremely high or extremely low, like there's no crime at all, or it is like extremely high rate of crime, then that crime rate will become pathological. Okay, so how do you distinguish social facts? You will distinguish social facts in terms of normal and pathological. So now you have the rules for observation, you have the rules for classification, and you have the rules for distinction. And now we'll come to the rules of explanation. And this is very simple rules for explanation. We already know Durkheim is coming from a scientific zone. He wants to establish sociology close to science. So for him, the rule of explanation also has to be scientific. Okay, it has to be scientific, basically about positivism. Okay, so in any of the videos when we do positivism, and we have done a bit of positivism earlier, so if you go back to those videos, you will see that what positivism is, and you will see that it is about science, it is about closeness of sociology with science, it is about quantitative, it is about theory, predictability, testability, empiricism. So it is about all those things, and that is how, according to Durkheim, you can explain social facts. So you have the rules for observation, ऑब्जर्व किया, क्लासिफाई किया, डिस्टिंग्विश किया, एक्सप्लेन किया, एंड डर्कहाइम हैज़ गिवन यू रूल्स फॉर ऑल ऑफ दीज. ओके, so that is one thing about social facts in terms of their rules. Now it's also interesting to note that Durkheim was somewhere writing towards the end of 19th century, right? Now this was a time when again sociology was emerging, when modern society had just come up, and the emphasis was on maintenance of social order, right? So Durkheim also, through his social facts, through the works that he does, be it suicide, be it religion, be it division of labor, he will try and explain you about this maintenance of social order. So for example, when we'll talk about DOL, when we'll talk about division of labor, you will see a big difference between Durkheim and Marx, right? So while for Marx, division of labor was, say, about overthrow of existing order, it was exploitative. For Durkheim, division of labor is about integration of society. It is helping in maintenance of society, right? And same goes for his other social facts. So he is interested in adding this functional explanation. He's adding this, the maintenance of social order in society becomes important for Durkheim. So in this one, I think we'll stop here. We've done these a little bit of the rules of sociological method, rules according to Durkheim, to understand sociology. And so in these shorter videos, we'll keep taking one or the other concept of Durkheim, and we'll keep elaborating on these. And that is it from my side right now. Do catch up the earlier videos, and the links to the course will be shared here. The links to the course will be shared in the comment section, in the description below. Do check those links, and the entire schedules and everything have been put up. There are great offers also from Shriram's IAS, which you all would be interested in. So do check those out, and yes, thank you so much. This is Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi on behalf of Shriram's IAS. Thank you so much.